Welcome to the Living Proof Recovery Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Evan. This is Brian. We're happy to be back with you guys. We missed a week there. We're still in the process of moving into our new space and getting everything completed here, but we wanted to come back to you guys again and get rolling with this thing. So tonight, Brian's got, I guess, a little something in mind, and
Maybe. We'll see.
so we'll see what Brian gets us rolling with here.
All right, so it's pretty cool that we get, opportunity to set up somewhere like this, right? And what was I going to say? Right. So the thing I wanted to talk about tonight was feelings and emotions, right? And I was thinking about this because it doesn't necessarily matter how we feel sometimes. We still have to do things that we have to do, regardless of how we feel. If we want to recover, if we want to be happy, if we want to stay sober, we're not always going to feel great, right? But it's important to acknowledge that we do have feelings, but they're not facts. They come and they go. They're temporary, right? But there are some feelings that we have to be aware of. Feelings of resentment, fear, depression, anxiety, self-pity, the list goes on and on, right? All these feelings, like these are human feelings and emotions. Like these aren't just alcoholics and addicts have these, right? But what was making me think of this, I was thinking back today about when I was newly sober and I wasn't feeling well. So I got on like this pity party, and my sponsor told me several times. Like one time I talked about this on here. He was like, "Fuck your feelings," right?
Yeah.
And he didn't say that to be mean. He wasn't being mean. I took it that way, right? Like I got offended. I took it that way. But what he was trying to tell me is like, it doesn't matter how you feel because there's things you have to do regardless of how you feel, because we're not always going to feel good. So I was driving to work today and I had this metaphor, this analogy in my head of, so we're recording this in my basement at my house, right? My wife and I have to pay a mortgage every month for this house, for us to live here. Right.
You want rent from me or something?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can pitch in a little bit. I mean, come on. Like you're here, an hour a week?
Right.
$8. Like they'll some we'll prorate it. We'll figure it out. But regardless of how we feel, that payment is due. Right. We have to pay it, whether we think we should pay it or we shouldn't pay it. Right. Like if I'm in a bad mood, the mortgage is still due. Right. And if we don't pay it, there's consequences to that. Right. The consequences, I lose my house. My credit's fucked up. We have to find a new house. Or we have to pay late fees, things like that. Right. So there's consequences to not doing what I need to do, regardless of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Right. So recovery is the same way. Right. If I might not feel like sponsoring someone. I may not feel like praying or meditating or working the steps or practicing the principles in all my affairs. And if I don't do those things, there's consequences, right? I'll lose my sobriety, lose my life, can lose my marriage, this house, right? So I'm going to start to lose those things if I don't do the things that I don't want to do, regardless of how I feel. Because there's days when I don't feel like praying, or I don't feel like having compassion for other people, or I don't want to answer the phone.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to that meeting or that treatment center. I don't want to do all those things, but I have to do them regardless of how I feel about it.
Right. So all I could think about this whole time is my boy Inky, right?
Mhm.
And one of my favorite quotes from him where he talks about staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood in which you said it has left.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I kept thinking of there, because the feelings are always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I'm feeling some type of way doesn't mean I can't still show up and say and do the things I said I was going to do from the beginning. You talk about not wanting to pray all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's probably one of, I don't know why it is, but that's probably one of the easiest ones for me to start slacking on first.
For sure.
You
I
know,
got this.
so yeah.
You know, I'll take care of that.
I wish that wasn't the case, but it is, you know, but when nowadays, when these emotions and all these feelings start coming up and I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm able to stop and realize, and I can assess the situation, and I know 90% of the time that's typically where my problem has begun. I've started to get away from that spiritual connection to my higher power, and everything tends to get a little funky on me. You know, that's the way it goes for me.
Yeah, I use the analogy all the time that, you know, like tonight, when we're done, I'm probably going to go to the gym. And I've been going to the gym consistently for about 3 years or so. And if I go in there tonight and I just sit in the lobby and I watch everybody else work out, then I'm going to get nothing.
I mean, you could get swole.
It might happen, right? You know, but so gratitude, this kind of connects with gratitude, right? So gratitude, true gratitude is about action, about showing, you know, it's not just saying I'm grateful for something. It's about showing it, right? So I have to actually put in some work to get some things, and I don't always like that, right? Like I don't always want to do that, you know? So, but in order to stay sober, in order to remain sane, there are some things that I have to do. And I don't want to face the consequences today. Like I know I can see it today. I'm aware. Like I know what the consequences are if I slack off. You know, if I just decide, you know what, I've been doing this long enough and I've done my part. It's time for somebody else to step up. That's a bad place. Like it's just a matter of time, man. Like it's not going to take long either. You know, I'll get sick pretty quick. And if I'm truly grateful for my sobriety, for, you know, the usual checklist things we say, you know, I'm grateful for my sobriety, my sponsor, my home group, higher power, you know, all those things, my family, my job. If I'm truly grateful for those things, then I will continue to show up regardless of how I feel.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying that like people's feelings don't matter, but they don't. You know, like to an extent, you know, it's like, yeah, you're having a bad day. I'm sorry, you know, but there's ways that we can work through those things. But at the end of the day, we still have to show up regardless of how we feel. Like, a thing that I've noticed, like, if I'm having a bad day or if I'm in a bad place spiritually, the best thing that I can do is get outside of myself and show up for somebody else. You know, instead of focusing on my problem, if I turn myself to how can I help you, then my problem gets a lot smaller. You know, because there's people out there that have real problems, you know, that are 4 days sober and don't know how they're going to make it to the next day.
Right.
You know, and I'm sitting over here like, I don't like my coworker.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on, man. Like, really? Like, it's in the grand scheme of things, a lot of the times our feelings and emotions, when we look back on them, they're a little silly.
Yeah.
You know, not all the time. Like, and I'm not saying that to be like heartless or like people's feelings don't matter, but because they do, like they're valid, like that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Right. But it can't dictate how we proceed through life. And we can't make decisions based on emotion and based on how we're feeling that moment. Because if we do that, it becomes impulsive and we react instead of pausing, thinking about things. And we usually come out sideways, or we
Yeah.
make bad decisions that way when we make decisions based off of fear or anger or sadness or loneliness or, I mean, when we do that kind of stuff, man, it's not productive.
Right.
Yeah.
And that comes with, all the being grateful and, something else that I've heard a lot is, you got to bring your own joy, right, to situations. I can't rely on other people and circumstances to create joy in my life. I have to be able to step back and see it from a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
for what things really are and understand what's happening. So I know just there was a point and I'm not going to say I'm not the same way now, but we go through different seasons
Yeah,
of
for sure.
life, different life changes as we go, and that's kind of where I feel like I've been lately. Is it trying to get into a new season of life, and during this time of trying to figure things out, I did find myself a lot more irritable and just discontent. You know what I mean? And I wasn't really grateful for much, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And that's even with 4 years sober, like that's the reality of it. So I have to be able to stop and think about those things because, before I would say, I guess before I entered this whole, what I would call a new season starting, I was always able to, man, like going back to the refuge and the Dharma, like you couldn't
Right.
fuck with my equanimity. You know what
I
I
haven't
mean?
heard that word.
Right. You couldn't fuck with it. Like a coworker, he's just always used to be like, man, nothing
Right.
rattles you. Nothing, like, nothing's getting to you.
And like a damn maraca.
and it does get like that. And, I gotta just stop and be able to look at the things that, and really that's kind of where it starts is the gratitude and being grateful. And if you're truly grateful, you don't just say you're grateful for these things. Your actions show if you're truly grateful for them or not.
Yeah, and we're not going to be perfect, right? We're not. That doesn't mean that you and I just go around all the time just full of gratitude,
Yeah.
and we don't struggle, because I've been the same way. It's been raining. It's what I feel like. I feel like it's just this season where it's just raining, But at the same time, like I can kind of look at things today. Like I see it. Like I'm just aware of it. Like, today or the last couple days, and like at work, like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm about to call somebody out. Like somebody's going to see a side of me that they've never seen before. And then I paused for a minute. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like the last thing I want to do is have to come to this person and make an amends.
Well, then that's practicing
Yeah.
the principles.
so
We pause when agitated.
Exactly. I paused and I was like, I'm moving myself for a minute, and I'm gonna go talk to it. I'm gonna go find another alcoholic and talk to them, and maybe see if I can help them in some way.
Luckily, we have a few of them.
Yeah. We're just shake something. They fall out everywhere, and it's like I'm gonna go do that, and I had to do that a couple times this week. But that's what I needed to do. Because I was like, I don't want to be the person that I feel like I'm going to become here in a few minutes, because I'm not doing well spiritually right this second. And that's the thing, like, we're not spiritual giants, or at least I'm not, I'm not walking around floating all day, there's times when I get in little funks, and I'm like, all right, but I have tools today. Like, okay, so what do I do with this? Do I just, because that kind of stuff is a choice. like I can choose to remain angry.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't have to live this way. Like, why do I? So I choose not to. So I know how to get out of it. I'm like, okay, like I got to look at the situation. Can you change it? No, I can't change that other person. I can change how I react to that person.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. And if there's other things that I can do to change my situation, I can look into that. Right. So that's kind of where, I've been at today with, feelings and emotions. I was like, we still have them. Just because we're sober doesn't mean we don't have, resentment and fear and just whatever, like we're human.
That's I'm heading for the Redneck Brawl in the morning, right? And we got a 5-hour trip, and that's something that my sponsor and I talked about. Yeah, I'll get you some. That's something that my sponsor and I talked about. We got a 5-hour ride ahead of us tomorrow, and we're taking our big books. We're gonna get to work, and we're working the steps again. So we're gonna get through 1, 2, 3. That way we can go ahead and get me working on another inventory.
Right.
So I can, because like you said, I still catch resentments today.
Mhm.
I still have fears, all these things. And it's time for me to do another run through and clean some stuff up again, even 4 years into sobriety.
There was something I was reading earlier, and I can't remember exactly where it was at. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was talking about basically we can get sober. I'm paraphrasing, like we can get sober and stay sober no matter what our present circumstances are. Right. So I'm kind of taking this back to early recovery, right? So if you're fresh out of treatment or if you're in treatment, right? Like it doesn't matter what our present circumstances are. If we're in a rehab or we're going through a divorce or we just got fired from our job, car breaks down, whatever it is, right? We can remain sober through all of that stuff because as long as we keep taking action that we need to take and keep showing up and do what we need to do, regardless of what's going on out here, right? Because none of that matters. Like it matters, right? Like sometimes we go through things, and I'm not saying that we don't have problems and that they're not important to deal with and things like that. But in the context of staying sober, that doesn't matter, right? Because people lose loved ones every day, and they stay sober, right? Like because my sobriety isn't contingent on what's going on at my job or what's going on at home or how I feel, right? It can't be. If it is, then I'm just going to be on a roller coaster ride for the rest of my life, right? Because if my sobriety is contingent on how I feel, my feelings change like every 15 minutes, right? So I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm content, I'm discontent, I'm irritable, fuck you. It's like every 5 minutes. It's like, and that's what Josh told me when I told him how I was feeling, and he said, "Man, fuck your feelings." He said, "They'll give it 10 minutes, they'll change," and they did.
But early on, it's so easy for us to
get caught in that hamster wheel.
Yeah, the tornado kicks up.
Yeah.
Mentally,
Mhm.
and we just start spinning and spinning, and next thing you know, we're freaking the fuck out, full blown meltdowns, and if you can figure out, if you have someone who can guide you as your sponsor.
That's what I was doing. Go
in the beginning when you're trying to learn how to deal with all of those things. When you are able to come out the other side after some time and you look back at them and you're like, man, no matter what the situation was, because I know for me, especially when I was still in the madness, you know, it was so easy for me to take these feelings and different emotions and just fucking drown them with a bottle
Mhm.
or going to the dope man, whatever it was. We can look back at that and it strengthens your recovery so much more knowing, like, man, I can make it through
Yeah.
some crazy feelings and stay sober,
Hmm.
you know, and it makes you stronger.
It does. You know, we're, what's the saying? Iron sharpens iron, right? So that's why it's important to surround ourselves with people that know what the fuck they're doing, right? Like that know what it's like to have some depth and weight,
Yeah.
right? So here's what we need, right, in early recovery is strong sponsorship. We need someone to tell us the truth, right? And sometimes the fucking truth hurts.
I need someone that's going to hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, especially in early recovery, we're sensitive, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm still sensitive today, right? But I was much more sensitive when in early recovery. It's like, hey, you're not going to talk to me like that, man.
Right.
And he was like, all right, well then find another sponsor. And I was like, hey, okay, we're being a little hasty here. Let's
Yeah. Right.
let's
Because it was never coming from a place of hate. It was only coming from a place of love.
It was, but you know, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Like I just thought, man, you're rigid, you know. And he told me one day, he was like, no, alcoholism is rigid. I'm not. You know, he's like, you're dealing with a rigid ass disease that wants you dead. So I'm sorry, but I don't care about how you feel about what I say to you. And I was like, oh man, like that's tough to hear, but it was necessary, right? Because he could have told me, oh, Brian, it's going to be okay. Let's just tell me how you feel, you know. And I would have been like, oh man, I would have just ate that up and like, I'm mad at this guy's an idiot, you know, and all this stuff, and I would have gotten nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, like I just would have wanted somebody to validate how I was feeling when that wasn't important. Right? It was like, hey, I'm not telling you this. I'm not being direct. So there's a difference, right, in being direct and being mean. Right? You can be direct and upfront and honest with someone. That doesn't mean you're being mean. Right? It's just like, but that's sometimes how I would take it. You know, I'd be like, you can't talk to me that way, dude. I'm a grown ass man. And he's like, oh yeah?
Yeah.
What time am I telling you to go to bed tonight because you're in treatment? Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Touche. You know, but at the end of the day, he was like, I'm glad and I'm grateful that he talked to me that way because I wasn't used to that. And I didn't understand. I had to understand how serious things were, you know, and he treated it like it was serious.
Right.
So he was honest with me instead of, you know, just patting me on the head, telling me it's going to be okay. Instead, he rubbed salt in my wounds and he was like, it's not going to be okay. You're going to fucking die, dude. And I was like, oh, you know, but I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that honesty coming from him. And it wasn't coming from a place of judgment or hate or being mean. It was coming from a place of love. It was like, I don't want you to die. You know, like, so let's get to work. You know, let's stop talking. You know, you've done enough talking. You know, let's actually go do some stuff. And then when you're done with that, let's do some more stuff. Let's just keep going. Let's keep you busy and keep you doing stuff. And then over time, you kind of start to stack these things up, right? You start to stack up these little wins, you know, these little spiritual experiences, if you want to call them that. You know, it's like, okay, like I did this, and because we're going to have feelings, right? Whether we're doing these things or not, right? So, you know, I would do some things that he would have me do that I thought were just dumb. Like, this is dumb. You know, like, how is that going to help me? You know? Have you ever noticed this? Like, your sponsor, like, seems like the smartest person in the world until you ask them to be your sponsor, and then they become your sponsor and they just go dumb on you.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, this guy's an idiot. You know what? He's telling me to go to this meeting and introduce myself to people and ask them how they're doing. Man, I don't care how they're doing. You know, it's like, I don't care. Just do it. You know, just do it. You know, see who you can help there. Pick up some cigarette butts. Why? doesn't matter why, just do it. Like, get outside, just do it, go pick up some fucking butts, man. Like, okay, it's like, this is the dumbest shit. Like, I'm going to treat my progressive and fatal illness with picking up some cigarette butts, right? And I started doing stuff like that. And people were coming up to me, hey, thank you for doing that. And I was just like, oh, like, I started feeling good about myself. Like, oh, like, I'm actually contributing here.
Yes.
And then after a time of doing things like that for other people that I thought were dumb, like, I started to see why I was doing it.
Right.
Instead of just questioning, everybody's like, you don't need to know why, man. Stop asking why. Like, that is my why.
Yeah.
But why? But why?
Part of one of those sayings, like, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just do the simple things I'm telling you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we overcomplicate everything. It's like some of us are blessed with like average intelligence.
Yeah.
And, and that's like the nail in some of our coffins.
That's because we're so used to making everything, and our lives were such chaos and turmoil all the time.
Yeah.
That when somebody tells us such a simple task, it just feels so abnormal
Yeah.
to not make it chaotic.
But yeah, because this thing is fatal,
Yeah.
right? So you're looking at like, it's got to be some complex formula to figure that to recover from this thing. It has to be.
Right.
And then it's like, well, here's what you got to do. You got to trust in a power greater than yourself. Clean up your past and go help somebody. It's like, well, that can't be. That seems way too simple. That's way like, look, can we add a few steps in there and really overcomplicate this thing? Like, can I write an essay about how I'm this or that and, how someone wronged me? And, it's like, you don't need to do all that. It's like, let's just keep this simple, man.
So was your first thought when he said go pick up cigarette butts, and you were like, it's so easy. Should I do it with my butt cheeks?
Yeah.
How can I make this more difficult than it needs to be?
Were you there?
You're just watching it from the corner.
You were like, man, he is willing to go to any lengths. Like, he's picking up lit cigarette butt cheeks. But this guy is willing, man. He'll do anything. Oh my God.
We do that, but we make it so much more complicated than it needs to be. And I think they do that. Obviously, the reason they're doing that, and they tell us a simple task in the beginning just to do things, is because number one, we haven't typically made it through the steps yet at that point. That's something that sponsors are usually telling you to do right off the bat. Right? So, but those are, like you said, those are such the simple things we can do that we don't even realize that that's the beginning. That's how we start getting outside of ourselves and helping others before we're properly armed with the facts. There's so many ways to be of service to other people, even before you have completed work in the 12 steps of whatever program that you choose to be a part of, right? There's so many things we can do, and it's so simple things, like you said, cleaning up the cigarette butts, shaking people's hands as they come in the door, introducing yourself, putting chairs away after a meeting, or making the coffee, or it's so many simple things.
Yes, just do something for somebody else. Found something I was reading earlier. Has been working with others that suggests how important it is that he place the welfare of other people ahead of his own. Right. So it's like it's human nature, right? And it's definitely an alcoholic's nature to be selfish. To think like, I want to get better. I need to focus on me. I need to do something that's going to make me feel better, right? And a lot of the times we want to feel better and then we'll go do something. And that's backwards, right? So in order to feel better, I need to go do something. And then I feel better. So, but a lot of times it's like, I'll help that alcoholic once I get better. Then I can help him. But what he had me doing from like day one, man, was like, no, you're doing it backwards. We're not going to wait till you feel better till you can go help somebody. Go help somebody. That's how you feel better. And I started to see that. And it wasn't like big things. You know, I was in a treatment center. You know, I wasn't like, hey, I've been here for 6 hours. I'm your sponsor. You know, like, I'm gonna show you. Let's go out to the smoking area. I'm gonna show you how to squat down and pick up these cigarettes. Right? Like I wasn't doing that, you know, but it was like, hey, see a vacuum over there? Like you can clean up this room, you know. Make sure there's no cups piling up. Like he had me doing stuff like that. Like go around, get a cigarette list order for people for the techs. Like help them out because they're helping everybody else here. So help them. And what that did for me is like I started to feel a part of something. You know, all the time I've tried to get sober. I mean, I don't even know how many times. You know,
Alone.
yes, yeah, and I don't know how many, like dozens of times. You know, and but I never felt a part of anything. Like, and I never felt a part of AA. I went to meetings, but I didn't. I felt like an outsider. Like I didn't feel like I belonged. You know,
Probably sat in the back of the room.
for sure. You
Didn't
know,
talk to nobody or make an effort to.
no,
Yeah.
no, fuck them guys.
Of course, we feel alone when we do that.
Yeah, nobody's talking to me.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the way that I always did things, and I always felt like this is all bullshit because I can see these people are happy. Why am I not happy? Because I'm coming here, but why am I not happy? Right? And it was because I didn't feel a part of Alcoholics Anonymous because I wasn't a part of Alcoholics.
Right.
I was just going and sitting in a room for an hour. That's not Alcoholics Anonymous. I was in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting,
Right.
but I wasn't involved in it at all. You know, it was just like I'm trying to go to the gym lobby and get swole. You know, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to watch you do recovery, and then I'm going to leave and expect to have recovery.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work that way. I don't catch it. It's not like COVID. You know, I don't catch sobriety. You know, like there's things I had to do, and some of those, regardless of how I feel. Right. So there was times when I felt a certain type of way. I felt embarrassed. Right. I would go into a meeting. I don't know anybody. Nobody's talking to me. You know, and I feel separated. So what do? I just sit there and get angry because no one's talking to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not putting forth any effort. I probably look like someone you don't want to approach.
Right.
You know, probably look like some angry person who doesn't want to be there. You know, so
And then when you leave, you're now the victim.
but yeah,
That fuck those AA guys.
they don't care.
dicks.
Yeah, they don't
Nobody-
care. They're
nobody-
judging me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I mean, just man, the victim mentality is just it's rampant. Like it's like an epidemic out there. It's getting worse. You know, I can't stand being a victim. You know, I can't. Like it's one thing that really irks me, and I think it's probably because I played one for so long, and I realized today that man, like I wasted a lot of my life being a victim. You know, and I just hate to see other people struggle like that. You know, and because I love people, right? Like I care about people, and but you can't. Love has hate in it, right? So like you can't. It's kind of like when they say like when you if you spot it, you got it, right? So like when I spot somebody playing a victim, it brings up something in me because I was that person, and I know what that's like, and I know where that's going. It's not going anywhere good, right? So when I say love has hate in it, you can't love somebody. This is my opinion, right? You can't love someone without hating what's hurting them, right? So I love people and I hate that they're hurting. Right. So, in the victim mentality is hurting them. Right. So I hate that. Right. Because I care about them. If I didn't care about people, I'd just be like, yeah, be the victim. I don't give a shit. Do your thing. And now, do I care too much sometimes? Yeah. Or, where it irritates me? Probably. But at the end of the day, it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's coming from a place of like, I've been there, and that's a one-way road
Yeah.
to unhappiness.
We want everyone to experience the
Yes.
freedom.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You
Because
know?
when you've been on both sides of the fence, man, it's like, why don't you just come over here?
Yeah.
Like, it's so much better over here. It really is.
It is, and we
But we
see
all
it.
got to go through what we got to go through.
Right. Everybody's journey's different.
Yeah.
Everybody has to hit that at a different time of their life. I know for me, it took several different attempts at getting sober, and trying my own way so many different times. Before I had to just give in and be like, okay, I'm gonna hop this fence now and come hang out with you guys. It's like,
Right, yeah.
And I wish it didn't take so long.
Yeah. So when we've recovered, like, this is a whole new way of life, man. Like, it really is, because I can honestly say, so next month if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'll have 5 years of sobriety. I have not thought about taking a drink or using drugs in almost that entire time.
It's amazing.
Like, there was maybe a little bit of time while I was going through detox and treatment, but other than, like, if you just take the time and treatment out, those 30 days or whatever, I haven't thought about drinking since then. Not once. And the cooler part, though, is that I haven't thought about not drinking. Right? So, and what I mean by that is I'm just living my life today. I'm not going through every day thinking of, how do I not drink today? Just don't drink today. Just make it through the day. That's not recovery to me. Like, that is struggle bus.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on that. I don't want to have to fight every day for my sobriety. Now, I do fight for it, but it doesn't feel like a fight.
Right.
Because I'm just going through my normal life. It's been removed.
Yeah, but when you say that, what that means is, the desire has been removed, right? You've done the work.
Yes.
So the desire has been removed. It means you haven't thought about taking a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean we don't still have thoughts,
Correct.
because we see things everywhere.
Yeah.
That's always going to pop a thought, but
I go everywhere with my eyes closed, man. Just to avoid triggers.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I just close my eyes to the world, and I'm just blind.
Right. And that's the best way to go through it.
Yeah.
No, but when that desire is removed, it's the most freeing feeling
Mhm.
that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, I'm not avoiding people
Yeah.
or alcohol or bars or certain pharmacies or any of that stuff. Like, I'm not avoiding it. It's just there's no desire.
Right.
Like, I just don't, there's no need to do it. Like, now, can that come back? 100%. It can. That's why I have to keep doing what I do, regardless of how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's not just that when I feel bad, right? So that's important. Like, an important distinction to make is there's times, for addicts and alcoholics, feelings and emotions, whether good or bad, can be troublesome, right? So it's like, man, I'm fucking killing it. Like, I'm on fire. I gotta watch that too. Like, I still have to show up. Like, just because I'm doing great doesn't mean that I get to take my foot off the gas. Or like, I'm gonna coast for a while, because life's great. because we're dealing with impermanence, man. Like it's not going to stay great forever, right? So I've got to continue to stay ahead. Like that's me and Joe were talking a couple weeks ago about how we maintain our sobriety, and I was telling him, I was like, man, it's really important that we don't only just. I said the bare minimum is to maintain it. That's the minimum, right? That's like the entry to get into the door is to maintain it. But we have to maintain and grow because our disease is progressing, whether we're still using or not, right? So you'll hear people say in meetings all the time, your disease is out in the parking lot doing push-ups, right? Just getting jacked, right? And so if it's progressing and it's getting stronger, I have to progress in my sobriety and I have to get stronger, right? So I can't just sit back and just hope to just maintain, right? Because if I maintain, it's catching up, right? So I have to continue to grow through steps 10, 11, and 12. And I do that in understanding and effectiveness through prayer, meditation, my daily inventory, and helping other people, right? So if I do that, then I keep growing and I stay ahead of it. If I just try to maintain and just say, I'm just going to do the bare minimum today, but I'm not going to drink, and I'm just going to do the bare minimum. Eventually, and it might take a long time for it to catch up, but eventually it'll catch up.
Yeah.
And that's where we see people that have long-term sobriety. They may be maintaining to a level, but they're not growing in sobriety.
We can't
There's no
become
finish line.
stagnant.
There's no finish line. It's not like I'm here.
Yeah.
You know?
We can't become stagnant.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, sometimes it's difficult at times. You'll find yourself, so we have to, we've come up with different things to do that way, because we've had these conversations, you and I, about we just need to do something different.
Yeah.
Like something on a bigger scale, try to do something different, reach more people,
Mm-hmm.
and put ourselves out there, and we just can't let ourselves get stagnant and expect to keep growing.
Yeah, because a lot of times we'll get in a state of, so you mentioned seasons earlier, right? Seasons always change, right? We go through them every year, winter, summer, spring, fall, like they change, right? So we have to be able to adapt and to grow with the seasons, because there's some shitty seasons coming, there's shitty weather, there's beautiful times too, so we have to be able to adapt to whatever season we are in, and that might look different. Like there might be periods of sobriety or different season that I'm in where I need to do a little bit more. I might need to read my book more. I might need to talk to more people. I might need to go to more meetings. And there's times where I might be able to more heavy into service work, and I'm not going to as many meetings, or vice versa, or whatever. We have to be able to adapt to these things.
That, and we have families.
Yeah.
We have to be able to also be able to step back and we have to find that balance with our family as well.
Yeah.
To not put our families on the back burner.
For sure. I've done that.
Oh, I have too.
I've done it recently, and I had to step back and go, this isn't what I want.
Right.
This isn't the person that this isn't the direction that I'm trying to go.
Right.
Mm-hmm. My intentions were good, but that doesn't always matter. It's like I'm neglecting things at home.
Yeah.
So I need to reevaluate and, see what I need to do and maybe step back from some things. And I've done that, and there might be times when I can, go more full throttle into something, but, and at the end of the day, if we don't stay sober and we don't have peace, we don't have any of that.
Right.
So there is like I said, a minimum that we have to do, but I've never done anything. I've never really been into doing things in a minimum way. I didn't do drugs minimally. It wasn't like, what's the least amount of pills you can sell me? I never did that. I was like, can I have just half a beer? Or, I didn't know. It was always like, oh, how much money I got, that's what I want, and then I'm going to go find a way to get some more.
Yeah.
So I got to kind of treat my sobriety the same way,
Yeah.
but that doesn't end, and that might sound to, if someone's watching this that hasn't been sober very long and they're just trying this thing out or, just getting started, that might sound exhausting. Like, man, I'm just going to forever have to be just working on my recovery. Well, technically the answer is yes, but it gets to a point where it's not work. Like we're just living our life today. I don't go through my day with a checklist, a recovery checklist of things I have to do today. It's just default. This is what I do, and it's just like when I was getting high, there was things that I just did. It wasn't a checklist of things that I had to do. It was like, this is what I do. I gotta get one in me,
The design of living that
Yeah.
you've been given.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has just become a part of your daily routine
Yeah.
and becomes natural,
Yeah.
right?
It does.
We're able to see things if we still harm people.
Mm-hmm.
We're humans. We
Oh, yeah.
still make mistakes, but we're able to see those when we make those mistakes.
Yeah.
We're able to see all of these things, and we have this design that we have practiced daily, and it
Mhm.
just becomes routine.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And it's a good word that you said there's practice, right? We practice these principles in all of our affairs. We don't perfect them in all of our affairs, right? So we don't have to be some Shaolin monk,
Yeah.
or Buddhist monk or something, or just this perfect individual. Like, fuck that. Like, purity's out. I'm just not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Like, because I'm okay with that. There's the yin and the yang, right? Like, we all have some lightness and some darkness in us. Like, we're not saints. We're going to fuck up. That's okay. Just learn from it. Do something different. But we don't have to fuck up as much.
Right.
Absolutely. So I haven't really fucked up in a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
I fucked up, but not really fucked up. Like I haven't been like, ooh, man, I really fucked that up. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is bad.
Yeah.
I've been like, man, I fucked that up. Like, I need to go fix that. Like, but it's fixable. Like,
Right.
I say the mistakes I make today are fixable.
Exactly.
It's
So
not
like what we used to do.
yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
all the mailboxes are missing on my street because I ran over all. Kind of fucked up, But no, I don't do that shit anymore. So yeah, so I guess we wrap it up with just like, just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean-
regardless of how you feel,
Yeah.
this is what has to be done.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, just do it.
I think the key points here from tonight were feelings aren't facts.
Yeah.
Bring your own joy.
Yeah.
Grateful addicts won't use.
Mm-hmm.
And something that maybe we could have, we did, but the language of gratitude
Yes.
is action.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And let's get outside of ourselves and help someone.
Absolutely.
So, all right.
Good shit, man.
All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Till next time.